Hello, hello, hello. Pile number one. Welcome to Hollywood Oracle. I'm Antonio, your reader. And let's get into this. So someone requested in the comments of the last video I did of what would your mother tell me. So this one is going to be what would your father? What would your father tell me about you? Okay. What would your dada tell, tell me about you? If you chose pile number one, okay. Pile number one. So when this card came out, I was like, pause. Okay. Why is the XXX card coming out for what your father would tell me? After listening, right? What I'm getting here is what your father would tell me. What your faja would tell me. It's like you're an attractive person. Okay. They make good kids. They make good looking kids. Okay. Not only would they tell me that, but I feel like, how do I explain this? Take if it resonates, right? But they would tell me that like some of you chase the pleasure sector of life, right? Like you're out here just smashing anybody, or at least chasing, like, chasing the box, chasing the wang, whatever, whatever floats your boat, right? But that's for who it resonates with. Otherwise, like I was saying, they were just saying that you're a very attractive person, okay? We do have the growth here card in the reverse. So I do feel like your Faja would tell me that, I feel like in their eyes, hold on, let me first explain this. Okay, when I was flipping out these cards and I was looking at the cards, right? I don't feel like this father here is talking anything bad about you, right? I feel more so like this is just general concern, but like, how to explain it? You know how like some people are concerned, right? Or can be concerned about you, but it's like the way they question things and the way they confirmation, ask you things comes off as like shade, right? But it's like really they just like want to know or like are curious. This is kind of how I'm getting this Faja, right? Like we have the growth here card in the reverse. So I feel like this Faja is just saying like, they don't see a lot of growth necessarily in your life, right? Like I feel like they might feel like you're in some type of stagnant period, though we don't have the stagnant card out here. If it's not due to like growing as a person or anything like that, I do feel like this is like exercise. So it's like your father would tell me you're not one to exercise, but you still look good. So I mean, if you look good and not exercising, I salute you. But for my men here, I feel like this would be your father telling me like, making fun of your muscles, right? Saying like, you don't have any muscles. And I feel kind of like I'm getting like a recall of like, back in my day, I was cut with the this and with the that, and I'm kind of getting like the old school memories, right? We do have the burden card here in the reverse. So with this burden card in the reverse, I feel like this Faja would tell me like, they don't see like your life as something that's really bogged down. They don't see your life as like, how to explain it? They kind of like view you as someone who doesn't really have a lot weighing you down. So it's like sky's the limit for you, okay? And if that's not the case, I just feel like it's maybe they're just not in the know, right? They don't really, maybe you just don't really convey to your father, the burdens that you're going through, okay? But to them, at least, they feel like there's not really much that is weighing you down, okay? We do have the desperate card here in the upright. So I feel like your Faja would tell me that. I feel like they'd tell me that like you're desperate for something. Like you're trying to achieve some type of goal. You're trying to, I don't want to say like, how am I getting this? Yeah, it's like you're desperate to achieve, like you're seeking something, right? Like you're after something. Whether this is like the like sexual pursuit that we were talking about earlier, or if it's just something like in general, maybe something of substance, something of meaning, something. I'm feeling like they just feel like maybe, I don't want to say you're lost, but maybe it's just like they don't fully understand like what you're going towards, like what your goals are. Like they don't know what you're working towards, right? And that could also go back to this growth card that we were talking about, where it's like they don't really see any growth or progression in your life towards any one direction. Okay, we have the clairvoyance card here in the upright. So I do feel like they keep a watchful eye on you. I feel like that's what they tell me, is like they watch over you a lot. You know, I feel like, and yeah, this is the clairvoyance card, right? In this deck, I also have a spying card. I don't feel like your Faja spies on you. I feel like it's more like an intuitive feeling, like they almost like a background character, right? Like they watch you without letting you know that they're watching you, right? Like almost like they are obtaining knowledge from other people instead of asking you directly, right? Because they feel like you wouldn't necessarily tell them everything that you're going through, or they don't want to seem like they're prying, or that they're, you know, too involved, or whatever the case is. But I feel like this is more of like a behind the scenes, watching you, you know, progress, watching you grow, and making sure that you're safe and okay. We do have the suitors card here in the upright, right? And that goes along with what I was talking about in the beginning, saying like, you know, you're chasing after suitors, you're chasing after women, you're chasing after men. And maybe it's not even chasing, maybe it's just like you've had a lot of relationships, or you've gone through a lot of relationships, you've had a lot of suitors, you've had a lot of whatever the case is. Or it's just a simple fact of, again, like there's a lot of people who want to be with you, right? Because we have that XXX card, which means you hella fine anyways. So, you know, it's only natural for you to have suitors. So take how that resonates for you. We do have the loyal card here, and that's in the reverse. With the loyal card in the reverse, I feel like what your Faja would tell me is that you're someone like, I don't feel like they're saying that you're not loyal, but it's more or less along the lines of like, almost like you can switch up, right? Like almost like don't take your loyalty for granted kind of thing, right? Where it's like, you know, just because they're loyal to you doesn't mean like their thoughts and morals will always align with yours, right? Or it's like, you know, if they don't agree with what you're doing, or whatever the case is, you know, they will pull back their loyalty to you, okay? We do have the relentless card here in the upright. Yeah, so your father sees you as a fighter, right? They would tell me that you're a fighter. You don't give up easily. You're kind of one that would go down swinging. And if you recall from this movie, right, he gets swallowed by the like dragon-headed serpent thing, and you know, he refused to be swallowed, so he cut the thing's head off, right? Like cut the whole body in half practically. So I feel like this is, you know, your Faja would tell me that like you're not one to give up easily, and if you are going to go out, it's going to be with a fight, right? We do have the self-love card here in the upright. So your Faja would tell me that, you know, you're a person that loves themselves, right? Maybe a little bit too much, right? Because see how he's looking at himself in the mirror. But your Faja would tell me that like you have a lot of love for yourself, or maybe it's just you pay a lot of attention to yourself, where it's like, you know, you always make sure you look good. You always make sure you walk out the house looking good. Your hair's done, teeth are nice. You know, you got a nice physique, or whatever the case is, which goes along with the XXX card that, you know, we were talking about earlier. So it's just like, I feel like it's more so like he would tell me that you take care of your body and yourself, right? You take care of your body and yourself. Not sure whether this is mentally, but at least on the outside, right? Physical, you know, you do take care of yourself. There's effort, right? We have the generous card. Now, I saw this too when I flipped these cards out. This generous card, when it came out and I looked over at the suitors, I feel like your father would tell me that like he believes that some of the people that you get with, or the people that are interested in you, are interested in you because of how generous you are, right? So it's like they're not really necessarily there for you. They're there for the generosity that you give your significant other when in a relationship with them, okay? Or they feel like you've dated people along those lines. With the generous card though too in the upright, it says over 5 like million, billion, whatever served. So I do feel like your father would tell me me that you are a generous human being. You're someone who gives, and I feel like almost gives, I don't want to say freely, but it's not like you're stingy, right? We do have the slander card here in the reverse. Now, the slander card is in the reverse right next to this loyal card in the reverse. So I feel like what your Faja would tell me is, you're like, you don't like it's very rare to catch you really talking trash about somebody. I feel like it's because like you're wrapped up in yourself, right? And I'm not getting like a narcissistic kind of way, though it could be, but it's just like because you're more focused on, what you're doing and those kind of things, you rarely ever really slander anyone else, okay? You rarely ever talk about anyone else. And even with this loyalty card to the left of it, I feel like he would also tell me that, like, even when you have fallouts with people, you're not one to really convey everything that happened, right? Because it's like you're not about slander, you're not about drama, you're just like, me and so had a fallout, you won't see him anymore, right? You know what I mean? We have the karma card here in the upright. So your Faja would tell me that with the karma card in the upright, I feel like they would tell me that like karma has come back around and it has hitting you more than once. Like you've had your ups and downs, just like anybody else in their life, right? We all have our ups and downs, but I do feel like what they would tell me is like you haven't had an easy life, right? And whether it's due to karma or it's just like you paying off like some soul contracts from the past life or whatever the case is, just some things you signed up for that you didn't know you signed up for, right? It's kind of what they'd tell me. So I feel like what they would say is like they've experienced you go through, pain and heartache and downfalls, right? Then we have the manifest card, and this manifest card follows that karma card in the upright. So I do feel like your Faja would tell me, that like you dream for either you dream, right? Either you are manifesting a better life for yourself, or this is something that they're wishing for you, right? They wish that like you have a better life for yourself, and maybe it is, putting stop putting so much emphasis in like hooking up with people or dating people or whatever the case is, and like more so focusing on where you're headed in life, right? Because this manifest card is also in that same row as the clairvoyance card, okay? But it's also kind of below this karma card. So it's almost like, the life that you're like, you might be down and out right now, but they see you bouncing back and having better just based on what they know about you, okay? We do have the regret card here, and that's in the reverse. Okay, so I feel like what they would tell me is like you're not one to really regret things or maybe even bring like things from the past up, right? Like it's almost like you have made your peace with what you have done in the past, right? And you're moving forward with that. Also, I feel like they would also tell me that they don't regret having you as their child, right? Like it's yeah, they don't regret having you as their child, right? Because I feel like if we look at just some cards underneath it, we have the alignment card. So I feel like you kind of even straighten your father out. He could have had a more wild life prior to you, right? And I'm not saying like crazy or whatever the case is, but it's almost like he feels like this, you being his child was almost like destined to be. And then we have the wealth card, right? So it's like it brought him maybe not wealth as far as like money or finances, but it brought him a type of life that made him feel wealthy, right? So it's like having you, it almost like completed his life, if that makes sense, okay? We do have some advice cards here from Spirit Guide Universe, whatever it is you believe in. We have the boundaries card. Boundaries in the upright, okay? Boundaries in the upright is also in that same row that we were speaking on with the suitors, right? Suitors and the generous, right? So I do feel like Spirit Guide Universe is even calling on you here to say like, look, if you have suitors, some of these suitors are only with you because of your generosity, or it's another sense of like, you need to have better boundaries when it comes to your generosity and the people that you deal with, okay? I don't feel like that boundaries has anything to do with this growth card here. With the act like a bee, get treated like one, it's in that same row as the slander card, the loyal card, and the burden card, all in the reverse. So I do feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, like, if you intend to act like a bee, you will be treated like one. So essentially, like, if you want to be a pushover, if you want to be, let people walk all over you, if you want to hold loyalties to the wrong people, I feel like then, that's what will, become your reality, right? We have know thy enemy, and that's in the reverse. Okay. So right here, I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, right? I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, like, how to explain this? It is uncertain the battles that you are going to face, right? It is uncertain the foes that you are going to fight. So I feel like they're almost saying, like, don't worry about these things, right? If it's karma, just go ahead and work through that karma for that full turn of the wheel, right? So then, the wheel will turn and then you'll have positive karma. Okay. Same thing with this, like, relentless. Like, sometimes we do have to buckle down. Sometimes we do have to fight with everything that we have. But in the end, right, it usually works out. So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, like, you don't know all the things that are going to come at you, right? So just be prepared for anything. We do have there will be hell to pay. And that's in the reverse too. Okay. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, at least for you, right, with this clairvoyance card, I feel like if you have, like, some type of forward vision for yourself, right, because it's also, we have that row ending with the manifest card. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying you pouring more love into yourself with this self-love card will only help you manifest the things that you want and the visions that you've seen yourself, like the positions that you've seen yourself in, right? So it's almost saying, like, by you taking up, like, putting more emphasis in the love that you have for yourself, you'll be able to not only, like, raise your frequency to manifest things even faster and quicker into your life, but also allow you to, like, kind of foresee, I feel like foresee things that are yet to come, right? We have do you have morals? And it's here in the reverse. So do you have morals is in the reverse. It's in that same row as everything being in the reverse. That's the burden card, the loyal card, and the slander card. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe would really just tell me that, like, how do I explain this? Look, let's just level, right? Like, whether or not you aren't doing what you need to be doing as far as, like, as far as priorities and, necessities, right? So I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, if there's anything that, like, doesn't necessarily align, right, you need to get that into alignment. Okay, you need to get some morals for yourself. Okay. And when I say morals too, I don't really, this could be morals, but I also kind of feel like this is more so like codes, like, how to explain it? Codes, a rule, something to follow, like a playbook, you know what I mean? Like, this is what this is how low you'll stoop. This is, how low you won't stoop. This is what you'll do. This is what you won't do. You know how some people live their life by, like, codes or meanings? That's why I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, like, you possibly don't have this, or it's just like you're kind of out there just doing whatever. So I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, by you creating morals for yourself, like codes or rules to live by, some of these other things will just kind of fall in place for you. Okay. This has been your read, pound number 1. Thank you for tuning in to Hollywood Oracle, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Excuse me. It, seems to me that what you folks need is a hero.
Yeah? And who are you?
Hello, pound number 2. Welcome to Hollywood Oracle. I'm Antonio, your reader. And let's get into this. So, if you chose pound number 2, this is what your dada, Faja, would tell me about you. Okay? We have the move card here in the upright. So, With the move card here in the upright, what I'm getting, okay, so the move card with it's the move card, the cage card, and the bravery card. Okay, what the move card tells me that your father would say about you is your ass need to get up and move. Okay, I'm not sure this is necessarily exercise. It definitely could be, but I'm also I'm getting for those of you who've seen the movie, I'm getting the scene from the movie. One of the 50 million Medea movies where, they're like, she yells at the one mechanic guy and she's like, when you die, have them bury you on your stomach to give your ass a break, okay? From sitting on it all the time. So I do feel like this could be exercise, but this could also just be like movement in general. Like almost like saying like you're a homebody, like you don't do much outside of work or going to shopping. Okay, why I say that, because we have the cage card here in the upright, and with the cage card in the upright, I'm seeing this in a sense of like your faja would tell me that they feel like you're like enclosed, right? You're encaged, like you're like, that's why I'm getting like homebody, like you're somebody who doesn't really go very far if you do like vacation or venture out, or even when you do venture out, right, outside of your normal bounds, and you could go on vacation, you still kind of stick to the same things that you know, right? So it's almost like this move could be like a physical move, or this move could be like out of your comfort zone. Okay, especially with that cage card as confirmation. We do have the bravery card, and that bravery card is in the reverse, which kind of also confirms that yes, your faja would tell me that, now this could just be opinion, this could be like an outside look in, or whatever the case is, but I'm getting like he questions the bravery, but I'm not getting like bravery in the sense of like you have to fight anything, but it's, confirmation, but it's like bravery in the sense of like what you're, again, doing something outside of your norm. Okay, so it's like you stick to what you know, hence the cage card, therefore he fears that you might be a little afraid of the unknown, therefore it keeps you not moving, right? With the third party card here, that's in the reverse. So I feel like your faja would tell me that, like, I feel like what he's saying here is almost like you kind of, I don't want to say you keep people out of your business, right? But it's along those terms, right? Or it's like you can't really go to anyone else for updates regarding you. You have to come to the source. Okay, so there's like no third party person that he could call or talk to that would know what's going on with you. He has to come to you, right? Or this could be saying in the sense that you have like I'm also getting, just take how it resonates for you, but I'm also getting like you could have, he worries that you have like connectivity issues with other people, right? So it's like you're cool with him, that's two people, right? Like, how to explain this? You don't really allow people in. Let's put it that way. That's the best way I can put it, right? So it's like you're comfortable with people that you know, but anyone you don't know, you're not very open with those people, right? Like it's not very easy for you, like someone to walk into your life, okay? So take how that resonates. We do have the destruction card here, and that's in the upright as well. So I do feel like what your faja would tell me is like, I feel like he wants, I don't want to say he wants, but I feel like what he's saying is like this, like mindset needs to be torn down, right? Because it's keeping you caged. It's keeping you like shut off from the world. It's keeping you from experiencing everything the world has to offer is kind of what I'm getting. And that's why we have the move card in the upright, because he wants you to move. He wants you to explore. He wants you to see everything that the world has to offer you. So it's almost like he wants like a tower moment in your life to kind of force you outside of the box, right? Because our next card here is that spirit card in the reverse. Yeah, he kind of feels like you lack like that the spirit, like the, how to explain this, like the trust in yourself knowing that you'll be okay in situations that you've never been placed in before, right? So it's like almost, because you can see like Phil TD's poking him, right? It's almost like he you know how like a friend or somebody would mess with you about one of your insecurities simply because they know it's your insecurity. That's what I kind of feel. So it almost kind of be like your father saying like, yeah, well, you know, you should really go get out and do this because all you do is sit at home, you know, but in a joking kind of manner, not just like a straightforward how I said it to you, you know what I mean? Where it seems context, you know, taken out of context. We do have the communication card here that's in the reverse as well. So I do feel like, you know, what your Faja would say to you is like, you might not be the best at communicating what you feel or what you're going through, or you know, what you're having issues with, or maybe it's just communication in general. Like it's just not your strong suit, and that's fine. That's okay. I'm not here to judge anybody, but what I'm getting is he's saying it's more along the lines of like communication may not even be good between you guys, or it's just along the lines of like there's a miscommunication in your guys' communication, right? We do have the self-love card, and that's in the upright. So your Faja would tell me that, you know, you do love yourself. With this self-love card, it is next to that third party card, right? So I feel like there also might be some concern that it's like either you're working on self-love, right, for yourself before you bring in another person, or it's just like you're so involved in what you do in your day-to-day life that it's hard for other people to even, you know, become a pillar in your life, okay? We have the rage card. The rage card is in the reverse. So I do feel like your Faja would tell me that you're someone that's not easily angered, right? You're someone that's pretty chill, pretty relaxed. I feel like they would also tell me that like I feel like they would tell me that you have a temper, but it's like a control. How do they say that? Like a firefighter, like when they burn down a house or something like that. It's a controlled burn, right? So it's almost like, you know, it's almost like you have rage, but it's a controlled rage. So it's even worse than rage itself. Like rage itself, you know, will burn everything and then just kind of burn itself out, sizzle itself out, right? Because it's exhausted from destroying everything. But your rage is controlled, like you have a control over your rage if you do get to that point and you're able to focus towards one general direction or one general person. And I feel like that's what they would tell me. It's like normally you're a pretty chill, relaxed person. You know, you don't like blow off, you know, a lot of steam or XYZ, you know, when you're mad. But when you're mad, you know, the fact that you can able to control your anger and only direct it towards the people that it's aimed at, right? We do have the fear card here, and that's in the reverse, okay? So with the fear card, what I'm getting, which is kind of contradictory of this cage card, right? Or at least this bravery card, but the fear card in the reverse, I feel like this is more so geared towards like experimenting new hobbies per se, not necessarily new adventures, if that makes sense, right? Like count how many times you've visited a new restaurant or a new, you know, establishment or something along those lines, a new park or a new whatever. You have the tendency to keep going back to the same places instead of expanding your horizons, right? So this, in a sense, would be like you don't have fear in starting new hobbies. In fishing, right? He's holding a fish, could definitely be a hobby, or at least one of yours. We do have the appearance card here in the upright, so your Faja would tell me that you take care of your appearance and you're a very good looking, I feel like whether or not you're a very good looking person, your appearance is always on 10, right? Like you always dress nice, you're always dressed like you appear to look nice, and you can see like he's wearing the Air Herc, so you might even have like, I don't want to say like an obsession to luxury brands or brand names or anything like that, but it's like you wear things that might give off the illusion of status, right? Not saying that you don't have a certain level of status, just saying like, even if it's, you know, for example, let's just say Nike, right? Nike usually, can run somebody some pretty good money, depending on what you're buying, right? But it's like you wear that brand and it will give off the illusion that you have a lot of money, even though maybe you've caught it on a sale or something like that. So it's just in the sense of saying like, observing your dressing style, not saying that you are wealthy or you only buy brand name, but it's like your clothing is of quality and you look nice in it. You take care of your appearance. We have a thirsty card here in the upright. With this thirsty card in the upright, see now this thirsty card is in the same row as self-love and third party in the reverse. So I feel like your Faja would tell me that like I don't know why it came to my head, so I'm gonna say it. Like you need to get laid, okay? Take how that resonates, right? Your Faja would tell me like either you're kind of yearning for it, right? Like either yearning for a relationship or you're yearning just for the satisfaction of things that happen in relationships and sometimes one nights, right? If it's not that, with the thirsty card, I do feel like your Faja would tell me that maybe you don't drink enough water. I don't know why that's coming through. Okay, maybe you don't drink enough water or just drink enough fluids in general, right? I can, vouch for that myself. I'm the person who will make a huge cup of water, will like ice and everything, and then, put it in the coaster next to me and watch a TV, like binge watch a whole TV show or play a game and never drink any of the goddamn water, right? So it could just be along the lines of that. Or they notice just like, your skin will tell on you as well, depending on how ash you are, right? Whether or not you need some water or like dandruff of that sort. We do have the Faith card here in the reverse. With the Faith card in the reverse, I feel like your Faja would tell me I feel like what your Faja would tell me is like you don't live destined out, like, how do I explain this? You don't live based on other people's projections of you, right? Like, so it's like people might say like, oh, XYZ is going to happen to you, or you should do this, or you should follow that. I feel like your dad would tell me, that like you kind of set your own faith, your own destiny, right? You don't really follow anyone else's. So like, for example, maybe your parents wanted you to be a nurse or a doctor and you went and became a mechanic, right? Something along those lines. We do have the Move card here in the upright. So again, emphasis on that move, emphasis on getting up and moving. This could also, like I said, it could be exercise. It could literally just be like exploring, adventure, right? Some advice messages here from Spirit, God, Universe, whatever it is you believe in. Yeah, look at this. On the bottom of the Move card is celebration. So your dad would be really happy if you just, got out. And I really feel like this is just doing something outside of the norm, like experiencing something that you don't normally do. And they would love to hear about it, right? We have the Demand Respect card from Spirit, God, Universe, whatever it is you believe in. Okay, with that Demand Respect card, that's funny. I feel like Spirit, God, Universe here is just saying like, okay, if your father is very adamant about certain things, right? Especially when it comes to like, I don't want to say like forcing you to do things, but just like implying that you should do things. I feel like Spirit, God, Universe is saying that like there needs to be some level of respect there for the things that you do and the things that you don't want to do, right? So it's like if you don't want to travel and see the world, or you're completely fine living in the little box or circumference that you live in, that's fine. Just have a conversation, right, with your father, because we do have that communication card in the reverse as well. So it's like maybe you haven't conveyed this to them, but Spirit, God, Universe is saying find that fine line, right? Let your father know. Excuse me, confirmation. Excuse me, again. There it is again. Okay, so have a talk with your father about I don't feel like this is a boundaries issue, but it's more along the lines of like just accepting what you want to do, right? So it's like if you don't want to travel, you don't want to see the world, you don't want to exercise, whatever the case is, right? Take how it resonates for you. Getting your father to understand that like you don't necessarily want to be bothered about the things that you don't do or don't want to do, okay? We have the Show No Mercy card, and that's in the upright as well. So I do feel like the Show No Mercy is addressing that communication that we were talking about. So it's like show no mercy in your communication. Now, this is your father, and I would say you're supposed to respect your elders, but I was raised in a time where that was the case, okay? You can respect your elders and also set them straight, okay? It's all based on your demeanor and your communication style, right? I'm not saying to curse your father out, but again, sit down, maybe go to a new restaurant, it gets you and him in a new environment, right? Outside of your box, and then just explain to him that like, that's just not something that you normally do, and you're fine in your, box or circle or group or whatever the case is, right? Or just explain why you might have problems or issues with doing that. Okay. How to explain this? I don't look at people who don't travel in a bad light or anything like that, because majority of people in life never leave the hometown that they're in, right? Like, I forget the exact percentage amount, but it is very high. It was like 70 or 80% of people never leave the town that they're in. So, I mean, given that, maybe you can even drop that information, Google it to make for sure. That percentage hasn't changed from the last time I seen it, but just stating like, look, this amount of people never leave their hometown, and I'm fine being one of those people. I love my hometown. I love being from here, or whatever the case is, right? We do have be aware of your surroundings, and that's in the upright. I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying like, there might be some people, I don't want to say plotting on you, you know what I mean? But like people who don't have necessarily the best intent for you, especially when you have this thirsty card. So it's like people could be, wanting to link up with you just for, sexual, needs, right? Nothing against that if that's something you're into, right? I just feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying like there might be some people around you who don't have, the interest that you have. So it's like you might really like someone and they just might want to really lay down with you. Okay. We have Calling Me a Liar, and that's in the upright. Okay. Let's see. Again, I feel like this is addressing possibly your father with something. Okay, calling me, and like my eye is like for some reason all of a sudden like irritated, like something's in it. Even though there's nothing that could have fallen into my eye from where I'm sitting in my house. But so that kind of leads me to believe like there might be, again, some miscommunication, right? Especially when it comes to like with the faith card, right? This could also be, now I did say like your destiny, but this could also be you not following a specific culture, religion, or faith. Okay, so that's something to address too. But I do feel like Spirit Guide Universe here is saying, calling me a liar. I feel like if this destruction card is kind of hard for you to hear or believe, I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying like it is true. Like this might be something that your father is not necessarily saying to you, but thinking, right? Like they kind of want something crazy to happen in your life to kind of set you off course and push you. You ever seen like in those movies where it's like they're like on a river floating downstream or whatever, and then like they get swept up by some white water or whatever the case is, another stream, and they start heading towards like an over the hill water fountain. I feel like that's kind of the energy I'm getting here with this destruction card. So it's almost like your father wants you to be put in some type of random circumstance that kind of pushes you outside of your bounds. And this is what I feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying, like, we're not lying about this. There might be something your father's not saying, but it doesn't mean that they don't want it to happen. Okay. Same thing with, faith. If your father is quote unquote okay with you not following customs, cultures, religions, right? This might be something that they're just telling you that they're okay with, but they're not actually okay with, is another thing that I'm getting. Okay. We do have the there will be hell to pay, and that's in the reverse. So I do feel like, and that's in the same row as show no mercy, appearance, communication, and bravery. So I do feel like Spirit Guide Universe is saying you speaking up and voicing the things that you need to your father, there will be no karma for that, right? Like, this is just you living your life and getting the people that you love to understand how you're going to be living it, right? So there's no like backlash or anything like that. And like I just said too, there's ways of communicating without coming off blunt or forward or rude, right? Especially when it comes to elders. This has been your read, pile number 2. Thank you for tuning in to Hollywood Oracle, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Excuse me. It, seems to me that what you folks need is a hero.
Yeah? And who are you?
Hello, pile number 3. Welcome to Hollywood Oracle. My name's Antonio, and I'll be your reader. Let's get into this. So, this is what your dad, father, would tell me about you. We have the bravery card here in the upright. Okay, so let's see what your faja would say. With the bravery card, I'm gonna just say it like this, pile number 3. I feel like your father, your dada would tell me that you, that I don't know why I'm getting this. I'm getting a bold MFer, right? A bold right? So with the bravery card, I feel like your father would tell me that, like, you're a person that kind of stands up to any and everything, right? Any and everything, any and everybody. Like, you don't care who they are, how big they are, what size they are, what they do, how much pull they have. You're the person who will stand up to anybody. We do have the beauty card here. So again, you're beautiful. And people like to look at you, right? I feel like you do catch a lot of attention. So I do feel like that they tell me that you're a beautiful person, right? Whether this is, physically or it's just internally as well. I mean, look, everyone's beautiful in their own way. We have the villainous card here too. So I do feel like your father would tell me that, like, you're capable of evil, right? I feel almost like there's this energy of, like, knowing that you are, because you're so bold and because, like, you might, have looks on your side, like, you're capable of doing things that, like manipulation almost, in a sense, right? Like manipulating people, getting people to do your will or your bidding, confirmation. Or again, like, it's just saying that, like, this is something, not saying that you do it, but it's something that you could do, right? Or it's like you walk that thin line, or you might play that thin line of good and evil, but you kind of lean more towards evil, right? Using, I don't want to say like using what, Spirit Guide Universe, whatever it is you believe in, gave you to kind of advance yourself, but it's almost almost like saying that, right? Where it's like you used your abilities to get whatever you want, okay? And some people look at that different ways. I'm not here to judge. We do have the support card, and that's in the reverse. I do feel like Spirit Guide, or not Spirit Guide Universe, but your father, your dada, would tell me that, I feel like he would tell me that he doesn't necessarily support, like, kind of some of the things you do, or at least like the way that you're living, right? Like, there might be some things that he sees, right, especially after this villainous card, where he's like, he's not in full support of, because we have the curious card. And with that curious card, it kind of just tells me, again, like, you're a bold person, you're brave, you're not afraid to venture into things, you're not afraid to, I'm getting this feeling too of, like, looking through things that you shouldn't be looking through, or going through people's things, or it's just like your curiosity gets the best of you almost, or it's just like, you might, like, eavesdrop on conversations or whatever the case is, right? Because your next card here is secrets, right? So your dad would tell me that he feels like you have a lot of secrets. There's a lot of things you're not saying, a lot of things that you keep inside, a lot of things that, like, you know, almost like you can see how, I'm not sure if he's pain or what's the other one, but you can see his face here where it's like he's almost kind of taken back by the secret. So I feel like that's what your dad would tell me, is like he feels like there's secrets that you're keeping that, like, I don't know, not saying he would want to know, but there's things that where he would like definitely kind of give you this look of concern. We have the spying card here too in the upright. So I got two things from this. Either your father is spying on you, or your father feels like next to this villainous card that you kind of, I don't want to say you spy on him, but it's like you're a person that looks into people's like backgrounds, history, past. You know, you might just keep an eye on people, like you watch people, you study people. Okay, we have the shy card and it's in the reverse, so it kind of further proves that point where it's like you're not afraid to, that bravery card again, you're not afraid to go up and approach people, you're not afraid to bring problems to people's attention. Maybe what's that word I'm looking for? Confront people, right? You don't have that issue, and again, you're not shy, so you'll just do it. You're one of those people like, say it and let it be so, okay? Like, about that action. Okay, we have the uncomfortable card. Yeah, and it makes people feel uncomfortable. That's what your dad would tell me. You make people feel uncomfortable. And it could be because, again, you have that bravery where it's like you just go up and you confront people, you talk to people, whatever the case is, okay? Like, you don't care if a person, like, you can see how Zeus is smiling, but Hades is like, ugh, get off of me. I feel like you're the Zeus in this card, right? Like, you don't care if a person is uncomfortable. You're going to ask them that question. You're going to bring them around people that they're uncomfortable about. Like, you're going to pull people out of their comfort zone, okay? We do have the regret card here in the upright as well. So I do feel like what your Faja would tell me is, I feel like he'd tell me that, like, people who go against you or go like try and fight you usually end up regretting it, right? Because you can see here Hercules is, you know, getting punched in the face. So I do feel like, you know, your dad would tell me that, like, you're not people soon figure out whether or not it's a good, like, almost like you're not afraid to punch somebody in the mouth, right? And people who second guess that usually end up finding out, and that's when they end up regretting it, right? Like, people usually, how to explain this? People find out that you're about that action when you're in that action already, right? Like, it's almost like they took you for a fool, and they didn't know prior to taking you for a fool that you're one of those fuck around and find out kind of people, and they fuck around and found out, right? So it's almost like they regret doing what they did to you because, you know, the consequence was fuck around and finding out, right? Right? Like, there were no warnings, there were no like, yo, you stepped out of line. It was just like, boom, you got punched in the mouth, right? I like that quote that Mike Tyson says, right? Like, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. We have the soul tribe here, and that's in the reverse. So I do feel like your dad would tell me, like, you're kind of still searching for, like, the people, like your people, like who you're supposed to be hanging out with, like your loyal crew, you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily your family, though your soul tribe could involve your personal family, but I just feel like it's more or less along the lines of, like, who you connect with, who's down to ride with you. You haven't really found those people out yet, and you could be looking for those people, especially with the spying card right next to it, okay? We do have the self-love card, and that's in the reverse. So your dad would tell me, I don't feel like your dad's saying that you don't love yourself, but I do feel like he's saying, like, there might be some unhealed things that you kind of have to go through, right? That I don't feel like he necessarily can't help you with it, but he's just not necessarily sure how to. But it does come down to a point where he feels like you just might have a couple of things that are unhealed, right? That are affecting your life, okay? With the affecting your life and maybe your actions, and those could be the actions that he doesn't support, right? Remember, we had that support card in the reverse. So take that how that resonates. We do have the fear card ending this off here, at least on the table, and that fear card is in the upright. So I feel like your dad would tell me you don't like surprises, right? You don't you don't like to be surprised. You don't like people to drop things on you. I don't feel like a surprise birthday is necessarily what he's talking about. It's more along the lines of like you just you don't like to be taken back or out of context, or something along those lines, where it's like you just don't deal well with that. Like it's almost like if like you showed up home to your house and they were going to try and do like an intervention, right? Like you don't like that. Like don't do that. Don't do that. Right? Or also I'm seeing like this could be like your father kind of like putting a mirror in front of you, like forcing you to kind of look at yourself. And this is something you'd tell me too, is like you have a hard time or a fear of actually looking at yourself, your morals, and your like negative traits, flaws, right? Like you have a fear of that, facing that. We do have bottom of the deck here, we have creative. So your dad, Faja, would tell me that you're a very creative person, right? I feel like your imagination is pretty wild, it's pretty out there. Yeah, it's pretty wild, it's pretty out there. And I feel like it's almost like ideas that like no one else would really come up with. Like they're almost like unique to you, okay? We have some advice messages here from Spirit, God, Universe, whatever it is you believe in. We have the Know Thy Enemy, and that's in the upright, okay? In the upright, in the same row as beauty, secrets, and regret. So I feel like Spirit, God, Universe is just saying like, I feel like there's people close to you that might not necessarily be for you, right? Because you can see in this beauty card, we have him staring at her, obviously because she looks good. But I feel like what this is kind of symbolizing is somebody that's close to you, that's around you, right? And they're keeping secrets from you, okay? And once you find out, they're probably going to end up regretting this. But this is where I feel like Know Thy Enemy comes from. It's like there's somebody that either you don't really know their full intention, or you just don't know that they're, playing both sides. I don't want it is here in the reverse, okay? With the I don't want it in the reverse, I feel like what Spirit, God, Universe is saying here is almost like they don't even approve of these actions as well. Excuse me, confirmation. They don't, I feel like what they're saying is like they see kind of like a better outline. Because I mean, if you look at this straight across, right, you have villainous, spying, and soul tribe in the reverse. So it's almost like you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. You're doing things you probably shouldn't be doing. And then we have like the spying. So it's like the only way like maybe your father knows about it is by spying on you, or they feel like, you're kind of looking in on other people, paying attention to other people when you should be paying more attention and working on yourself. Okay, so I do feel like Spirit, God, Universe is even saying they don't want this for you, right? They don't want you to be a villain. They don't want you looking in on people, because you should be more focused about yourself instead of what other people are doing. And then with this soul tribe, like I do feel like, Spirit, God, Universe, whatever it is you believe in, does truly want us to find our soul tribe. Like that's kind of one of the reasons why we're here, is to like reconnect with the people that we should be connecting with, right? But you also have to understand that it depends on the circles that you run in as well. We do have the Face Your Fears card, and that's in the upright. Yeah, now look at this. We have the support card in the reverse, the shy card in the reverse, and the self-love card in the reverse. So I do feel like Spirit, God, Universe is saying like, you're not necessarily really afraid of anything, but the thing that you might be afraid of is facing yourself. I don't know why that's coming through so hard here, but it's like maybe it's not even facing yourself, but maybe some of the decisions you made, or I'm just not quite sure what this energy is here. But it is something that you do need to face, and that's kind of what I'm getting, is like it has something to do more so with yourself. Maybe it's like there's not enough self-love to feel like you deserve to live any other type of way, or I'm just not sure how that is. Please let me know down below. if that resonates with you, or at least send me a message. Email is in the description box. We do have the Show No Mercy, okay, and that's in the upright. With the Show No Mercy card, with the Show No Mercy card, I feel like Spirit Guide Universe here is just saying, like, again, I do feel like this is like working kind of on yourself, because we have the Curious card where it's like almost like you want to dabble into something new, you want to try being a different way, but it's like it's uncomfortable for you, right? Because you are Hades in this kind of thing where it's like it's foreign, therefore you don't like it, right? And then it's like you kind of fear like what you'll become if you actually address an issue or something along those lines, right? Bottom of the deck is get a effing hobby, and that's in the reverse as well. So I do feel like Spirit Guide Universe is just saying, yeah, you don't need any more hobbies. You don't need to be out here doing anything. Or at least with the people that you're generally running with. Like, I do feel like there's a very, look, it's like in your face, right? Like ... Like, I do feel like, yeah, and next card is not for everyone, okay? And it's in the reverse. Like, yes, you are for more people than you think, but like I feel like there's just an emphasis that either you not hanging with the right people, or maybe you're just not behaving in a manner that's going to attract the right type of people, right? Because then next card here is act like a bee, get treated like one, right? So it's like if you're out there acting like an F-boy or F-girl, right? What do you think you're going to attract to yourself? Okay, next card is literally calling me a liar. And then we have the Dream Bigger card in the reverse. So it's like you're not dreaming any larger than where you are or your circumstances, okay? Let me know if this resonates with you. Sorry this one seems kind of down, but all in all, this has been the read. If this doesn't resonate, there's 2 other piles. Thank you for tuning in to Hollywood Oracle, and I'll see you on the next one.